Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good Sunday morning to you on this Labor Day weekend. It's September 3rd. I'm Taylor Stewart, and you are in the right place here with us at Fox 45 Morning News. Let's get your forecast off to the right start. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, I've had a chance to step outside, and I tell you, it's hard to come back in.
Yeah, it's nice out there. A little warm. Temperatures are climbing. We're in the 80s right now. This is kind of where we wrapped up yesterday. And of course, it's still early. So these temperatures are going to climb about 10 degrees more by the afternoon. And that's just the start of a heat wave, actually a pretty unusual heat wave, some of the hottest temperatures we've seen in September. So we are looking at the potential for record heat over the next couple of days. And today that just gets started. Maybe your plans this afternoon take you out to the Maryland State Fair. Tons of sunshine there, but it's going to be toasty. Temperatures end up in the mid 90s today, which puts us about 10 degrees above where we should be. So make sure you're staying hydrated. Don't forget the sunscreen. Lightweight, light colored clothing, highly recommended. Now, coming up in just about 10 minutes, I'll let you know how long this heat wave is going to last and what eventually brings it to an end. Taylor?
We begin this morning in a city in crisis with some violent Labor Day weekend shootings. Baltimore police are investigating a deadly shooting that happened along a club on Custom House Avenue. It happened around 1 a.m., and we're still working to learn more about the 29-year-old victim police say died at the hospital this morning. And just before 3:30 a.m., Baltimore police responded to a 911 call along Jefferson Street. There, they located a 25-year-old who was rushed to the hospital with gunshot wounds. And then, while on routine patrol along the intersection of Orland Street, officers heard gunfire. They discovered a 34-year-old man who, too, also is waking up in the hospital this morning. If you know anything about these shootings, you're asked to call police. If you want to remain anonymous, you can call Metro Crime Stoppers. That number, 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. Fox 45 News is going to continue to bring you the latest updates here on air and online. All right, we have continuing coverage this morning. Right now, 4 young people are facing charges for their alleged role in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. The teens are all between 14 and 18 years old. Now, this week, police arrested a 14-year-old at Patterson High School. They also brought charges against an 18-year-old, Aaron Brown, who was already in custody for an attempted murder back in May. Neither of the suspects have been charged with the fatal shots that killed 2 people. Despite these arrests, though, Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley says this investigation is far from over.
I want to be very clear, this investigation is not ending anytime soon. Every tool in our tool belt will be used to identify and apprehend those responsible for this horrific and tragic incident.
The acting commissioner says police are still searching for 6 more suspects in connection with the shooting. Now, these arrests come as frustration with juvenile justice laws mounts. Critics on current juvenile justice reform say there needs to be changes. With lawmakers set to return in Annapolis in January, many people are wondering, what will Governor Wes Moore do?
Is he going to side with the Democrats in the legislature who are more progressive, like Senator Jill Carter? Or is he going to side with common sense and reason and the state's attorneys from all across the state who are saying the laws on the books right now are not making the community safer?
Fox 45 News has sent questions to the governor's office asking about what changes need to be made to hold juveniles accountable. In response, the governor's office sent us a statement saying the governor will continue working with legislators and community leaders to bring solutions that provide real measures of accountability. We want to know what you think. Ahead of the next legislative session, what would you like the governor to do about juvenile crime? Listen to prosecutors or make no changes to the law? So far, 94% of people who have voted say listen to prosecutors. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in. The Brooklyn Day mass shooting is just one incident in a string of youth crimes here in Baltimore. A closer look at the crimes that are raising concerns from the perspective of a former Maryland Attorney General.
You don't have to move too far, but I just got to get to that whole bit.
Teenagers falling on both spectrums of Baltimore's juvenile crime crisis. This week, a 14-year-old was sitting in class when police arrested them in connection to the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. And on Friday, a 12-year-old shot in the back outside of a stadium at Dunbar High School's first football game of the season.
A victim being a juvenile, and then we're also talking about the offenders being juveniles, and so this crime wave is really swept into the juvenile ranks.
The victim is now one of more than 70 young people injured in a shooting this year in Baltimore. It's not yet clear who pulled the trigger, but former Maryland Attorney General Doug Gansler says the state's juvenile crime laws have sent a crystal clear message.
They're sort of cloaked in this idea, well, I'm a juvenile, so I'm outside of the criminal justice system. So you have to have punishment. Doesn't mean you're putting them in adult facilities.
Just this week, Fox 45 obtained this video of an 11-year-old accused of stealing and crashing a car before police released the child without punishment, saying they could not charge him because of the state's Child Interrogation Protection Act. The law stops police from questioning or charging a minor with a violent crime until a parent or guardian is contacted, and that child has consulted with an attorney. State prosecutors say it's helped young people usurp the justice system. How do you find that balance?
Well, parents need to get involved way earlier in this system, or we wouldn't have 12-year-olds stealing cars. And so I think as long as there's probable cause to believe that that juvenile has committed a crime, a violent crime, we're talking about armed crimes, then as long as they're in the room, the interview room, and they're being taped, and the interview is, tell me what happened, and the conversations that you would have, the judge ultimately will see, was that confession, if you will, or information coerced, or was it not? As Baltimore City Schools' first week of the new school year ends in a shooting that sent players, fans, and families running from gunfire, Gansler says that added pressure now falls back on law enforcement. We have school resource officers, not only at the high schools, but at the middle schools and the elementary schools, so that the communication between the school and the police and law enforcement can be enhanced.
We're also following calls for parents to be held accountable for children accused of crimes who cannot be prosecuted. Legal experts are split on whether that's a viable solution.
I think it will have some legal hurdles, but realistically, I think there should be some punitive measures put in place for parents that aren't doing the right things.
I don't agree with that because, like I said, the same prosecutorial officers will prosecute that parent for disciplining their child in hopes that the child doesn't involve themselves in criminal behavior. And so you just can't have it both ways.
Fox 45 News reached out to every state's attorney in Maryland asking their opinion on juvenile crime. You can see their reactions at foxbaltimore.com. Still ahead this morning, a Harford County councilman is trying to change how long officials can stay in office. How many signatures he'll need to get that term limit on the ballot for 2024.
And today is just the start of what's going to be a long and potentially record-breaking September heat wave. Mid-90s today, upper 90s for the next 3 days that follow. I'll explain how long this heat wave lasts, what brings it to an end in just a couple of minutes. It's 10:38. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News.
And county under pressure, it's been almost 4 weeks since the body of 37-year-old Rachel Morin was found on a sheriff's office is still trying to find this man who they believe killed Morin. Authorities say this video shows him leaving the scene of a home invasion and assault that happened back in Los Angeles. They say his DNA was found at Morin's crime scene. If you recognize him, give a tip and an email to the RM tips line at hartfordsheriff.org. Also in Hartford County, Councilman Aaron Penman is hoping to limit how long county leaders can stay in office. First, he's going to have to get term limits on the ballot. Maxine Stryker has more on the effort and the petition drive he had in Havre de Grace.
At Hopkins Farm Brewery Saturday, a petition drive for term limits got underway.
I just want to make a difference in our community.
Spearheading the effort is Hartford County Councilman Aaron Penman.
Well, if you look across the whole state, yeah, Baltimore City has it. There's other jurisdictions that have term limits. And then you go nationally. You see what's going on in D.C. With the age issues that are taking place down there and the career politicians.
Penman believes public office should be a calling, not a career.
It should be a civic responsibility, and that's what I'm hoping these term limits bring to Hartford County.
Penman will need to collect 10,000 signatures by June to put term limits on the ballot for voters in 2024.
Right now, what we have on the county charter is for the county executive has term limits. So he has 2 terms. He can take 1 term off and come back for 2 more terms. I want to apply that same logic to the county council.
Ernie Tompkins signed the petition.
I didn't realize how important it was until I saw it on the national level, and I know it's important also on the local level. The politicians get a little bit comfortable in the positions that they're in, and they don't seem to be as connected to the community and their constituents. And having fresh faces and turnover, you know, every 8 years would be a good idea.
Similar efforts are also underway in Montgomery County, and voters overwhelmingly supported implementing term limits for leaders in Baltimore City on Election Day 2022, voting for independence and accountability. Question K was approved by more than 70% of voters in the city. Under the plan, the mayor, comptroller, city council president, and city council members will now be limited to 2 terms over a 12-year period.
College football returns to College Park as Mike Locksley faces former team while Pete Shinnick made his debut. We have all of that next on Sports Unlimited. Plus, roads are shut down and bikers are gearing up to take over the streets. Just ahead, how local bikers are getting ready for this afternoon's Maryland Cycling Classic. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Welcome into your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. The O's continue their road trip out west with less than a month to go in the regular season, and the Rays hot on their tail. Wins now are more important than ever. Arizona native Kyle Bradish on the bump for Game 2, making his case as the O's ace. 2 on in the third. Ketel Marte doubles to right. That plates Geraldo Perdomo. Arizona would go on to score 2 in the inning. To the fourth. 2 on for Cedric Mullins. And with one swing of the bat, he gives the O's the lead. They put up 6 as a team in the frame. That was big for Bradish and plenty enough run support. Bradish, 1, 2, 3 in the 6th. 6 strong innings, 2 earned on 4 hits. He struck out 6. And then some more insurance. Adley Rutschman adding some in the 7th. And this is his first home run since August 10th as the O's beat the Diamondbacks 7-3. The final score. Tampa Bay 1.5 games back of the O's entering yesterday. Steven Kwan tied the game in the bottom of the 9th, and then he walks it off with a sac fly in the 11th as the Guardians win an extra 7-6, and that helps the O's. The O's win, the Rays lose, and that gives the Birds a 2.5 game lead over Tampa Bay for first place in the AL East. That 4-game series between the two teams beginning September 14th, easily the most important series of the year. College football made its return to College Park, and an in-state matchup took center stage. Maryland playing host to the Tigers from Towson to get both their seasons underway. Mike Loxley played for Towson from 88 to 91. The Terps head coach taking on his former team, while Pete Shinnick, you see him right there, is making his debut as the Tigers' new head coach. To the action, this one all Maryland. Talia Tungavailoa kicking off his senior season with a 23-yard run to the house. Just the start of a big day for the Terps star QB. Still in the first, Tungavailoa getting it done with his arm. Dials up Corey Dyches for the 23-yard score. 14-0 Terps. Tungavailoa in the Terps offense back for more. Under a minute to go in the quarter this time. Leah finds Jayshon Jones, who makes his way into the end zone. Terps led 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Time for Towson to try to get something going. Nathan Kent, nice 17-yard pickup by the Tigers QB, and that would lead to a Towson field goal. Keegan Vaughn, good from 36 yards out. But just before the half, Maryland back on 0. And Tungavailoa going to connect with Caden Prather. Right into your living room. 13 yards on the score. Check that out right there. Tungavailoa, 22 of 33, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air. And he added another on the ground as Maryland beats Towson to open the season 38-6.
Obviously, it's great to start off and be 1-0. Our team, I thought, came in prepared to play. We got off to the fast start that we like to get off to, scoring 21 points in the first quarter. And I think you can attribute some of that to our fans.
It was exciting. It felt really good. It felt like we were at it was our first game, and the new guys and the freshmen always talked about, this is the craziest experience, and it's probably the most fans I've seen at game opener since I've been here. So I think that was really cool, and our team obviously fed off of it. So.
This one aired right here on Fox 45. Deion Sanders making his head coaching debut with Colorado. Buffs 21-point underdogs against 17th-ranked TCU. Get to know the name Travis Hunter. Started at cornerback and receiver for the Buffs. This big-time interception on defense. 11 Morgan State opening its season on the road against Richmond, and the Bears never back down from the challenge. Down a score in the first, Carson Baker calls his own number and finds pay dirt from a yard out. Extra point ties the game at 7. To the fourth, Richmond with its backs up against the wall. Kyle Wickersham stripped by Eric Hunter. Bears recover, and the Morgan State offense would capitalize. Jabril Johnson up the gut and into the end zone for the go-ahead score. How about those Morgan State Bears? First season opening win in 11 years and pulling off the upset over Richmond, 17-10, the final score. To Homewood Field, Johns Hopkins kicking off its season against Ithaca, down 10-7 in the second. Bay Harvey airs it out. Cole Crotty couldn't get more open if he tried. 54 yards on the pass and catch, 14-10 Blue Jays. That connection works so nice. They're going to try it twice. Third quarter, Harvey to Crotty. Second score for the duo on the day is Johns Hopkins wins its opener by a final score of 27-17. That's your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Have a great Sunday.
All right, and your Sunday is looking really sunny outside. Meteorologist Amy Aronson, it's only gonna get hotter, isn't it?
Yes, very Very hot over the next couple of days. We've got the sunshine. We can check that off, but now comes the heat. We're already at 84 degrees. We've got 10 more degrees to go. We end up in the mid-90s today. This is just the start of our heat wave that's going to take over this week. Actually, could be a record-long heat wave for September standards, and then storms will return later this week, and that's ultimately what's going to cool us back down. Right now, things are pretty quiet on the radar. We're not tracking much of anything at all. Even as I put this into motion, you'll notice crystal clear skies across the region. And that means no rain in sight. So we're also looking at a dry week ahead of us. And future scan shows not much happening here as we head through the rest of your Sunday. For Labor Day tomorrow, we see some clouds pass through in the morning, but otherwise it's quiet. So things will remain quiet for the first part of the week. It's really all about the heat that's going to build and send our temperatures to near record levels. And that all gets underway today. So if you're thinking about heading to the pool, great day for it. Don't forget the sunscreen. You're also going to want to spend some time in the water with temperatures peaking in the mid-90s today. Tomorrow, just as hot. So for Labor Day, if you're closing out the pool season, it's going to be a toasty one. Perfect day to get in the water again with temperatures peaking in the mid-90s. And that brings us to near record levels, not one day, but 3 days in a row here. So for tomorrow, we're forecasting a high of 97. Current record stands at 96. I think we'll smash that. Same for Tuesday with a forecasted high of 98 degrees. Current record stands at 96 from 1954. We should get above that. And then on Wednesday, we get awfully close again with highs in the upper 90s. Current record stands at 98 from 1983. So a couple of records up for grabs this week. And it's a long, hot stretch, kind of unusual for early September. Labor Day, we're in the upper 90s. Same for Tuesday, same for Wednesday, even Thursday with a mix of clouds and sun, low 90s again with that stray shower or storm. Now, by week's end, that's when we're tracking some changes. So it looks like we'll see some spotty storms show back up Friday into Saturday. I don't think either day is a washout, but this will send us some welcome temperature changes. If you're itching for some cooler temperatures, we are back in the upper 80s starting on Friday, and it looks like the more manageable mid-80s by next Saturday. Taylor?
All right, Metallica fans are all hands on deck for charity. Fans from all over are coming together to put food supplies together for those who need them. Take a look at this. At every tour stop, the band encourages fans in their All Within My Hands fan club to volunteer at an area food bank. Yesterday, they took over St. Mary's Food Bank in Phoenix, and they do more than just donate money.
I try to volunteer in every city that Metallica does this. I think food insecurity is important to help out when you can. It's great. It's like a family. You meet people, and I have friends from all over the world that just do Metallica. We go to lots of shows together.
It's given me a sense of like being a part of the Metallica family and being able to help the world while seeing my favorite band at the same time.
Not a bad trade-off. And while that concert is certainly the highlight of their weekend, when they're at the food bank, they say giving back to others is the only thing that matters. Well, ahead of Maryland's Cycling Classic today, some bikers had the chance to test out this course. It was for a good cause, though. United Healthcare Children Foundation is helping its Bridges of Hope race. It kicked off in Sparks. All the proceeds are going to kids in need of medical care.
Today we had a great group of people who support this charity, which helps children in need, get the access to the benefits they need. And it was fantastic. We raised over $150,000 today, had a great group of people out on the roads of Baltimore County.
The main event, that Cycling Classic, starts at noon in Sparks, and it goes into Baltimore. Last year, the race drew over 70,000 spectators watching along that route. So check out more information on the road closures right on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Kids who need school supplies this year got a helping hand at the Lexington Market. The second annual Project Backpack event made sure they had everything they need to succeed in the classroom. They lined up with their families for free bags, pencils, binders, even some school clothes. Families also were given information on local organizations that could help and provide more support for students who need it this year. Good luck to all of those students who get started in their studies this year. All right, we're under sunny skies today. Meteorologist Amy Aronson is going to let us know how the rest of your Labor Day weekend is shaping up. Stick with us for her 7-day forecast.
10:57 on this sunny Sunday morning. Looks so pretty out there. Yesterday felt awesome. Yesterday was like the perfect start to a holiday weekend. Today is going to get a little uncomfortable. The mid-90s are back, and then we've got a really hot stretch coming up. We are ending the summer season with some hot temperatures. Upper 90s for Labor Day on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Upper 90s to near 100 degrees potentially for the first time this season. I know it's kind of unbelievable.